Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, we are able to see.
Okay, great. जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्णा so welcome back everyone can somebody do a quick recap of what we did last week? Who can say? Sushil Prabhu, Rao Prabhu?
Yeah, so basically, Prabhuji, this Vidura calling, when Krishna came, Vidura called Dhritarashtra. So he was giving the good advice to Dhritarashtra, like this is the time they should return the share to Yudhishthir,
Correct.
and he was saying all this good words to you, good words to him,
Hmm.
because that is the right thing to do. He was praising Krishna as well,
Correct.
but because he was saying that one, Yadu the dynasty, and being the king of that Yadu dynasty, and you are going to fight with Krishna, so that is we know the pastime of the Krishna where he conquered many rulers and all those things. So
Correct.
he was giving this advice to him, but however, because Duryodhana was not in a mood to listen, or he was not happy with those words, and he was using the uh, it was totally against the Vidura, using the bad words. He's saying that one, you ate our thing, but you are not loyal to us, so get away from this family. So he was saying that one.
Yeah.
But
So
we know that
basically, yeah. Sorry. Please continue. Sorry.
Vidura is a very respectable person, even though he's a Dasi Putra, but his level of intellectual things, transcendental knowledge is much above everyone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So what has happened is, one thing we will learn throughout this chapter is all of these things were arranged by Krishna and which Vidur also very well understood. Okay. It is not that Vidur could not have answered back Duryodhan or chastised Dhritarashtra for his incorrect activities. But Vidur also knew, and that not only that this is destined, but it is properly planned by Krishna. And that acceptance helped him overcome the grief of Duryodhana's words. So you can imagine a situation that throughout your life you have been completely religious person, you have not done anything wrong, and the personification of wrong, that is Mr. Duryodhan, such a person throws you out of the house. So for meaning you are being punished for being on the right side. So who can actually organize this other than Krishna himself? So this one important point was very well understood by Vidur, because of which it was simple for him to accept the situation also. And he did not go outside the house or outside the village or town and sit over there and keep crying about it. He took that as an opportunity to visit the holy places where the Lord had appeared and had performed some pastime. And that actually helped him come closer to Krishna. So that we will study in today's verses. So until the verse number 16, we understand how Krishna had basically arranged it, what Krishna did for Pandavas, and what instructions did Vidur give to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana also. Okay. So you all know, right, who is Vidur, the history of Vidur. I'll not go again into it. I think Radhapat Pankaj Prabhu talked about it last time.
He was Yamraj in the earlier birth.
Yeah. And what made him kind of, take a birth as Vidur?
Some severe punishment was given to Mandalya Rishi, who
Mandukya Rishi.
first.
Huh. Huh. So, okay, since we are on to this topic, so Mandukya Rishi was taken to hell, and there he questioned the Dharmaraj, Yamraj, as to what was my mistake. Then he told, in the childhood, you you used to become happy by piercing straws of grass into the eyes of small insects like butterflies. And then he said that because of this, you are getting this punishment. So Manduka Rishi himself was a great ascetic, great sage he was. So he knew Dharma Shastra very well. And he told Yamaraj that despite being a Yamaraj, how can you give such a kind of a punishment? You should very well understand that Dharma Shastra ignores the fault of anybody, any child who is under 12 years, because that child does not have the ability to understand Dharma Shastra. After he crosses 12 years old age, he gets into a situation, his brain matures to a stage where he can start understanding Dharma Shastra, by which he understands what is right, what is wrong, and he understands why wrong is not supposed to be done. And then the Manduka Rishi gives him a curse that because of this incorrect punishment, you deserve a life of a son of a maid servant. So that's why he became a Dasi Putra. So you can imagine, if you look at the events of Mahabharata, everything was orchestrated so perfectly by all the events. They came in at the very right time and matured at the very right time to give a rise to another event. Okay, so the death of the father of Dhritarashtra, forgot the name. Forgot the name. So, in one of the, I think because of his weak health, he passed away or something like that. And then this guy, Vyas Rishi, was invited by Satyavati Mata. And then she gave him permission to beget children in a using mantra in the wife of in the body of Amba. No, sorry, Amba refused. So Ambika, Ambalika. And then there was a maid servant also. I don't know the name of the maid servant, but that was Vidura's mother. So from Ambika, Pandu came, from Ambalika, Dhritarashtra came, and from the other maid servant, Vidur came. And that Vidur was foretold by Vyas Rishi that he will be the most knowledgeable person on earth who will have complete knowledge about dharma, about religion. In one of the interactions, when Yudhishthir was about, or Yudhishthir had become Chakravarti Samrat, after that full yagya was done, Yudhishthir went up to Vidur to ask for his guidance and recommendations and knowledge. So Vidur gave him some knowledge over there, depending on the time, place, and circumstance. So Yudhishthir told him that the quantity of knowledge you possess, okay, is not there present in meaning the even a grain of knowledge that you possess, that half of that grain equivalent knowledge is not there in the rest of the whole world as well. That was the level of knowledge that Vidur possessed. So, for such a person, it's not so difficult to understand that Lord Krishna is orchestrating all of these incidents because he wants the war to happen. Okay, it would have been difficult for Vidur to fight for Adharmik Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. Okay, it would have been difficult for him to fight against the Pandavas also. It would have been difficult for Vidur to fight against Krishna. Okay, so he orchestrates all of these incidents in such a manner that Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra are deprived of association of saintly people like Vidur. Vidur also is, avoided from the pain of fighting for Duryodhan and against Pandavas, against Krishna. And the more important aspect is what we will learn today. How did Vidur make the best use of the current situation when he was insulted by Duryodhan? That we will see today. Hare Krishna. So, anybody has any question? No? So, let's move to verse number 17. Okay, so Canto 3,
Hare
Chapter
Krishna,
1,
Prabhuji.
text 17. Mataji, you want to read?
No, Prabhuji, just a question.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, Vidur was Yamaraj and Yudhishthir was his son, like Yamaraj's son, isn't it?
Not son actually. So Yudhishthir was kind of taken over, kind of, the qualities, and he technically, I don't think he was a son. We can cross check this one. But when
Because he said Dharmaraj Putra bolte na unko.
so what had happened was, meaning when Kunti Mata meaning spoke that mantra, and Dharmaraj came, so he gave a son to him. Now, to technically call that as a son of Dharmaraj or not can be discussed, but it was like, he gave the son to him. Maybe in one perspective we can call it as a son of Dharmaraj also, but maybe this point we can discuss with someone. Let Radhapat Pankaj Prabhu come and we can discuss with him.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So let's go to verse 17. Sa nirgatah kaurava punyalabdho gajah gajah vayat tirtha padani अन्वाक्रमात् पुण्यचिकीर्ष योर्व्यम् अधिष्ठितो यानि सहस्त्रमूर्तिः. Translation, anybody?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare.
Prabhu.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapur, he took shelter of many places of pilgrimages, which are the Lord's lotus feet. With a desire to gain a high order of pious life, he traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated. Vidur was undoubtedly a highly elevated and pious soul. Otherwise, he would not have taken his birth in the Kauravas family. To have high percentage, to
Parentage.
possess, to have high parentage, to possess wealth, to be highly learned, and to have great personal beauty are all due to the past pious acts. But such pious positions are not sufficient for obtaining the grace of the Lord and being engaged in his transcendental loving service. Vidura considered himself less pious and therefore he decided to travel to all the great places of pilgrimage in the world in order to achieve greater piety and advance nearer to the Lord. At that time, Lord Krishna was personally present in the world, and Vidura could have at once approached him directly. But he did not do so because he was not sufficiently freed from sin. One cannot be 100% devoted to the Lord unless he is completely free from all effects of sin. Vidura was conscious that by the association of the diplomatic Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, he had lost his piety and was therefore not fit to associate at once with the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 7.28, this is confirmed in the following verse: Yesha tun gatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvand moha nirmuktam bhajante ma dradvata. Persons who are sinfully as asuras, like Kamsa and Jarasan, cannot think of Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, the Absolute Truth. Only those who are pure devotees, those who follow the regulative principles of religious life as prescribed in the scriptures, are able to engage themselves in Karam Yoga and then Jnana Yoga, and thereafter by pure meditation. One can understand pure consciousness. When God consciousness is developed, one can take advantage of the association of pure devotees. Syan Mahat Seva Vipa Puna Titha Nisevidhi. One who is able to associate with the Lord even during the existence of this life. Places of pilgrimages are meant for eradicating the sins of the pilgrims, and they are distributed all over the universe just to give facility to all concerned for attaining pure existence and God realization. One should not be satisfied, however, merely by visiting the places of pilgrimage and performing one's prescribed duties. He should be eager to meet the great souls who are already there, engaged in the service of the Lord. In each and every place of pilgrimage, the Lord is present in his various transcendental forms. These forms are called Archa Murtis, or forms of the Lord, which can be easily appreciated by the common man. The Lord is transcendental to our mundane senses. He cannot be seen with our present eyes, nor can he be heard with our present ears. To the degree that we have entered into the service of the Lord, or to the proportion that our lives are freed from sins, we can perceive the Lord. But even though we are not free from sins, the Lord is kind enough to allow us the facility of seeing Him in His Archamurtis in the temple. The Lord is all powerful and therefore He is able to accept our service by presentation of His Archa form. No one, therefore, should foolishly think the Archa is the archa in the temple to be an idol. Such an archa murti is not an idol but the Lord Himself. And to the proportion that one is free from sins, he is able to know the significance of the archa murti. The guidance of pure devotee is therefore always required. In the land of Bharatvarsh, there are many hundreds and thousands of places of pilgrimage distributed all over the country, and by traditional practice, the common man visits such holy places during all seasons of the year. Some of the Archa representatives of the Lord situated in different places of pilgrimage are mentioned herewith. The Lord is present at Mathura, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, as Adi Keshava. The Lord is present in Puri, Odisha, as Lord Jagannath, also known as Parshottama. He is present at Allahabad, Prayagraj, as Bindu Madhava. And at Mandhar Hill, he is present as Madhusudana. In the Anand Aranya, he is known as Vasudev, Padmanabham, and Janardhan. Janardhan at Vishnu Kanchi. He is known as Vishnu, and at Mayapur, he is known as Hari. There are millions and billions of such Archa forms of the Lord distributed all over the universe. All these Archa Murtis are summarized by the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the following words.
सर्वत्र प्रकाश
Sarvatra
तांद्रा भक्ते सुख दिते जगतेरा अधर्म नाशी अधर्म स्थापिते धर्म स्थापिते सॉरी.
The Lord has so distributed himself all over the universe just to give pleasure to the devotees, to give the common man facility to eradicate his sins, and to establish religious principles in the world. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So quite a lot of points Prabhupada mentions in the purport here. Yeah? So first he talks about the qualities of Vidur. Okay, now one of the points we understand here is there are four categories of beauty, meaning the results of piety. Okay, the first is personal beauty. Okay, uh, meaning which is generally what people want. Okay, so you may be a man or a woman, but you may look very beautiful, you may have a good face, good body, handsome, the walking style, the speaking style, even the teeth are supposed to be a factor of what piety we have performed. So some people have great teeth, okay, some people have very, crooked and all that. So even this is a personal beauty. The personal beauty, the bodily aspect, is part of your previous karma. Then to be born in a great family, okay, is also a result of the good karma. Now in today's world we consider being born to people like Ambani or Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. We may think that that is great, okay, but that is only from a wealth perspective. It does not necessarily mean that if you are born in a wealthy family, firstly you will get all the wealth. That is definitely not guaranteed. Secondly, even if you get it, doesn't mean you will be devoted towards the Lord. So to have high parentage, actually from the Shastra perspective, is to have a very pious family who is oriented towards the Lord and who does not have any sinful tendency. That is called as high parentage. Thirdly, to possess lot of wealth. So I may be born to wealthy parents, but for whatever reason, my parents may lose all the wealth. I may not get anything from them, but that doesn't mean that I have all the wealth just because I am born to wealthy parents. So this third aspect talks about you in person possessing lot of wealth. Then fourthly, to be very highly learned. Okay, now that can be from a material knowledge perspective, and it can be from spiritual knowledge perspective as well. So we see, right, so many people uh, uh, get admission to the best of the universities and they come out in flying colors and become, meaning they get a lot of material knowledge. Then there are people who cannot pass even grade 3, grade 4 also. There are people who don't get admission to the best universities, go to average medium universities, and it doesn't benefit them in the longer term. So now this is also part of our karma also, and this is spoken by Kunti Mata in the 8th chapter in the first canto when she speaks Kunti Stuti. Okay, she talks about these four factors that one benefits from by performing pious activities. Now we should understand that piety. Okay, let me ask this question: who thinks that punya is necessary um to achieve Krishna? What is the correlation between punya and bhakti? That could be a better question. Who can answer this one? This is something very important that all should know. Hmm. Who can answer this? The correlation between punya and bhakti.
Think punya is based on your good deeds, and bhakti is about how you serve the Lord.
Correct. But what is the correlation between them? Let's say I have done lot of punya. Does it mean that I am a good bhakta?
No, I don't
Prabhu,
think directly mean
Prabhuji,
that you're a good bhakta.
Huh.
Hare Krishna
So
Prabhuji, only punya
you
leads us towards the sadguna, and it can elevate us towards bhakti, but it is not necessary that we are doing punya and will become bhakta.
correct. So punya does not necessarily mean that we will become bhakta. Correct.
uh,
But
I think
One point could be that punya you do for yourself, bhakti you do it for the God.
fine, fine. That is just the definition. I'm talking about the correlation. So one point that came out was punya doesn't mean you are a bhakta. Fair enough. But then why is piety good? So one reason we know that people perform pious activities to get material benefits. Yeah, we all understand that. But why is piety still preferred to for bhakti?
when you give the result of punya to Krishna, then that becomes bhakti.
No,
And
that is not punya itself. Punya is an
Mhm.
action performed as per the scriptural regulations for fulfilling selfish desires. So when you perform that action for selfish desire, it cannot be bhakti.
Mhm.
Okay, so what happens? I'll tell you. Punya can be
Is
considered.
it because punya is done in the mode of goodness as against passion and ignorance?
Punya is done in the passion of a mode of passion and ignorance also. So Ravan also used to perform punya. Okay, and then he used to satisfy Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva also, and based on that he used to ask for boons also. So that's possible. So what
There
happens?
are higher chances, sorry,
Please.
there are higher chances, Prabhu, to come in bhakti if we live in the pious people, among the pious people.
Yes,
Committing of the sins by living in the pious society is less chances. We will not be committing the sins if we live among the pious or if we have acquired some piety.
correct.
Uh,
Exactly.
and there are high chances that we will be we will be inclined towards the devotion of the Lord.
Correct. So it's as you rightly said, chances is the word. So the probability of a highly sinful person becoming a devotee of the Lord is very low. But the probability of a pious person becoming a devotee of the Lord is very high. The primary reason being, we should understand that the 7th chapter, 15th verse of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about four people who never come to him. Right? What are they? First is Mudha, that is foolish people. Then Naradhama, the lowest among mankind. Maya Yaparuta Jnana, whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion. And the fourth person, Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha. Okay, those who have taken the shelter of demoniac mentality. Now, the more sinful you become, the more tendency you develop to reject the existence of God. And the more you reject the existence of God, the more you go downwards into the lower species of life. And that helps you develop a tendency to become atheist completely. When you become atheist, the probability that you will be inclined to know about the soul, about the super soul, about the Lord, about the path of going to the Lord is almost zero. So which means that the more a person sinful is, the less his probability is towards the God, to go towards God. But pious people, they accept that there is a superior authority from compared to themselves. They surrender unto that superiority, that superior authority. Then they perform worship to that superior authority. They ask for boons also. They do not have a tendency to commit sinful activities also. And the only displacement that is required for them is instead of worshipping the demigods, that pious person has to start worshipping the Supreme Lord. So the quantity of displacement required in his mentality is very low compared to the quantity of displacement required for the sinful person. That's why the probability of a pious person becoming a bhakta is very, very high compared to a sinful person becoming a bhakta. So that is why this whole point is being stated that it is good to be pious than sinful. But the problem of piety, the problem of punya is if you ignore the higher level knowledge, then you will remain pious. You will enjoy your results of your piety, and it could also happen that you may develop tendency to perform sinful activities also, and you may downgrade yourself to the sinful life. So pious activity is like midpoint towards the God and towards the sinful life. So piety is good if you become inclined towards the Lord. Otherwise, piety can be bad. And I'll just give you one small example of how piety can be bad. Imagine you you have come across association of sinful people, okay, but you had pious activities in your previous life. So because of the results of your pious activity, you have become a wealthy and influential person in the whole world today. But because you are associating with sinful people, your mentality is very poor. You may become an atheist also. And then you will utilize the results of your piety. You will utilize your influence, your power, and your money to go against God. And you will drag the people who follow you also against the God. And that is the problem. So that's why to think that piety is good, it is good only if it helps you go towards God. If it drags you away from God, piety is bad. So in Vidura's case, Vidur had the association of people like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. But that does not mean he had lost his knowledge. That does not mean he had lost the discrimination between wrong and right. Okay. So that's why Prabhupada says that he did not consider himself sufficiently freed from sin. And that's why he did not want to approach Krishna directly. And he chose to take the route of pilgrimages. So once somebody goes for pilgrimage, generally these places of pilgrimages are meant for eradicating the sins of the pilgrims. Right? That's why you would see people go to Rishikesh, Haridwar, Gaya, Bodh, Prayag, Prabhashetra, and so many things. There are so many places, Rameshwaram, Mayapur, Pandharpur, so many places are there. The main objective is to get rid of our previous sins. And as Prabhupada mentions, Krishna has ensured that these places are created all over the world. It's not just in India that these places are there, but in India, there are many. And the objective is to ensure that people who is living far away from a pilgrimage place should not be, meaning he may not have physical and material ability to reach to a far off pilgrimage place. That's why they are spread across so many areas that you would have access to at least one very close to yourself, and you can continuously go over there. Okay. So Vidur, what he did was, Vidur chose that particular path and he preferred to go to the places of pilgrimage. Now, I have a question to ask to everybody. Um, Many times we meet people who tell us, "Arey, please come home. It's quite a few time, quite a lot of years that you have come home. Ghar pe aa jao, ghar pe aa jao," karke, right? So when you go to their house, what do you do? Any
We
answer?
usually Prajalpa Prabhuji.
Basically, we'll chit chat and we'll have a food. That's
Okay, let's say that person is a devotee.
then we'll do chanting.
Chanting or Krishna Katha, right? Let's say if you go to that person's house and all of you start watching a movie on the TV, and 4 5 hours pass, 2 3 movies have watched, and then you say, okay, Tata, bye bye. Then that person will ask, hey, you came to meet us, right? But yes, but you called us to say you come home one day. That's all. I have come home. Now I'm going. Does that meeting make sense at all? Of course not, right? So the visiting the place of pilgrimage is also something similar to that. What is the primary objective of going to the place of pilgrimage? It is not to get rid of the sins we have committed, but it is to get the rid of our sinful mentality. That is the primary purpose, right? You may go and take bath in Ganga hundreds and thousands of times. You may get rid of your sinful kind of, the sins that you have committed. Possible. Ganga may wash those sins away also. But Prabhupada always used to ask, what about the mentality which forced you to commit those sins? How will that get cleaned? That does not get cleaned by taking bath in Ganga. So that gets cleaned by associating with saintly people and following their instructions. So Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita and all over Bhagavatam that these places of pilgrimages, they carry that importance because the Lord appeared there and because saintly people are staying over there because the Lord appeared there. So because of the saintly people, a place of pilgrimage continues to get that importance. And it is to associate with these people that one should go to visit the places of pilgrimage. To associate with these people, get their instructions, follow the instructions in our life should be the motive behind visiting the places of pilgrimage. You can go there and get your sins eradicated, which is perfectly fine, and that's the right approach also. But additionally, you should also ensure that the mentality because of which the sins were committed, that mentality also gets cleaned up. And that can only be possible by associating with the saintly people over there. And now in this places of pilgrimage, there are various Archa Murtis also. Archa Murti is Archa meaning it's a short form of Archana. Archana meaning deity worship. The Murti, which is the Murti which is used for Archana is called as Archa Murti. Okay. And it is also called as Archa Vigraha. Vigraha and Murti is same. Okay. Now, these Archa Murtis are purposely different in different places so that different people can get attracted to it. There are certain people who get attracted to the Lord's Sham Sundar Roop. There are certain people who get attracted to the Balakrishna Roop. There are certain people who get attracted to Ram. Certain people get attracted to Vitthal. Certain people get attracted to Jagannath or Padmanabha Swami or Srinivas. So many are there. Balaji. Now, so many deities are there. So many forms are there because everybody is different. Everybody likes a certain form. He likes to devote himself to a certain form. And the Lord appreciates this uniqueness. The Lord appreciates this variety. And accordingly, he manifests himself in different forms. And these different forms are supposed to be worshipped by different people and get rid of this nonsense birth and death cycle. So that is why the Lord appears in a different form, and the devotee benefits by worshipping them. Hare Krishna. I'll move on. So Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about this one. The Lord has distributed himself all over the universe only to give pleasure to the devotees and to give a good facility facility to give good facility to the common man to eradicate his sins. It's so nice of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So text 18. Pureshu punyopavanadri kunjeshva अपंकतोयेषु सरित्सर्हषु अनंतलिंगै समलांकृतेषु चचार तीर्थायतानेषु अनन्यः. Translation?
I can read. Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. He began to travel alone, thinking only of Krishna. Through various holy places like Ayodhya, Dwarka, and Mathura, he traveled where the grove, hill, orchid, river, and lake are all pure and sinless, and where the forms of the unlimited decorate the temples. Thus he performed the pilgrim's progress. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila
Jai
Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada.
These arka forms of the Lord may be considered idols by the atheists, but that does not matter for persons like Vidura or his many other servants. The forms of the Lord are mentioned here as Anantalinga. Such forms of the Lord have unlimited potency, the same as that of the Lord himself. There is no difference between the potencies of the Arka and those of the personal forms of the Lord. The example of the post box and post office may be applied here. The little post boxes distributed all over the city have the same potency as the postal system in general. The duty of the post office is to carry letters from one place to another. If one puts letters in the post boxes authorized by the General Post Office, the functions of carrying letters is performed without a doubt. Similarly, the Archamurti can also deliver the same unlimited potency of the Lord as when he is personally present. Vidura therefore could see nothing but Krishna in the different Archa forms, and ultimately he was able to realize Krishna alone and nothing else. Sorry for my mispronunciation of Archa.
No worries. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what do we see here, right? So one thing we should very well understand that the texts written in of our scriptures are in the Sanskrit language. What we speak today is a different language. So obviously a translation is necessary. Now, when you translate, okay, it's not necessary that each and every language will have a equivalent word in every other language, right? And then when you come across a language which does not have a exact replica, which means exactly what the first language talks about, then you are forced to use a equivalent word or similar meaning word, right? And that is where the incorrect translation happens. Now, when you translate this incorrectly, okay, or you understand it incorrectly, there is a good chance that the meaning gets distorted, right? So that's why you would see Prabhupada was very specific on what word is being used. Okay. We have a great sannyasi in ISKCON, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj. He is from UK. but he has studied Sanskrit language. He speaks Hindi, he speaks Bengali very well. And I heard him giving a lecture on how English is a language which is meant not for devotional service, but for bodily and sense gratificatory purposes. So when this language was created, okay, the people who created this language did not have the depth of spiritual knowledge which Sanskrit people already had. So obviously, the words that were created in English will not have the relevant words which Sanskrit had. Now, what that means is when a word murti or vigraha comes in picture, okay, you would probably translate it to the nearest word or something which you know. Okay, so the word like deity, it came quite later, but the idol as a word had come far earlier in the English language. So people translated these words, or people colloquially understood these words by the words which were known to them at that time. So that's why you would see uh, idol being used by many people who do not understand the actual meaning of the word idol, and they do not understand the meaning of the word deity, right? So when you at your home you take a murti of Krishna which you have in your altar, in your temple, that murti of Krishna and the murti of Krishna that you see in a shop, what do you think? Is it different or is it same?
It's different.
What is the difference there?
It is, yeah, total.
Huh?
Yeah,
It's the emotions, Prabhuji. The deity at home,
yeah.
we are connected emotionally, whereas in the shop, it's more, but we are not really connected to it, Prabhuji.
But why are you
There is
connected to this? What is
there is
the
one more thing we
Because
do, right?
we
The
daily perform
Pratishtapana.
puja too.
no? But let's say you have a murti at in a shop, and yesterday you purchased it, and today you have kept it in the temple.
No,
Okay,
but that
so
is there
now
is one activity as instilling or Pratishtapana, right? Where you
exactly that is the primary difference. Okay, so if we have to link this with the example Prabhupada is giving here of post box, let's say all post boxes we know are of red color. Let's say I install a exact replica, size, dimensions, length, and everything is same, color, design, everything is same, and I install a post box outside my house. Will that be considered in as a authorized post box? Will the postman come and pick up and drop letters in that post box? What do you think?
He won't come, Prabhuji.
no,
He will not come. Why? Because it has not been authorized by the postal system. Similarly, a DT, because you have followed the process, the procedure mentioned in the Shastra, to invite the DT and come and to invite the Lord and come and stay in the form of a small DT, because you have not followed that, that murti is not authorized for any kind of worship. In fact, it is foolishness to do that. So you will see a lot of people buying these small idols from the shop, bringing it and keeping it in the temple and doing puja over there. Whom are you doing puja? There is nobody inside. So somebody mentioned that there is an emotional connect. That emotional connect is a sentimental connect. It's just sentiment. There is no truth behind that sentiment. Why? Because the deity worship process and the installation process was not followed. It is like painting the post box in red color. So that's why we are supposed to follow Shastra. We are supposed to follow the procedure completely in the under the guidance of a proper devotee, a Brahman who has the knowledge of all of this. Okay. So the Lord, because he personally visited Ayodhya, Dwarka, and Mathura and all that, the Lord was actually worshipped in that deity form over there. But we were not so fortunate that the Lord appears in our house and gives us a deity form where we can worship that. That is precisely why we have to ensure that the statue, the idol is constructed, and perform the installation ceremony, which is called as pran pratisthapana. And then the invitation to the Lord is given to come and reside within the form of the deity in the murti, and then that deity is what we worship. So that is the difference between an idol and a deity. The idol does not have the presence of the Lord within that statue. The deity has it. So we worship not the form of the deity, but we worship the deity inside, that is Krishna himself. So that deity may look like Jagannath. He may look like Vitthal with hands on the waist. He may look like Sham Sundar while playing the flute. He could look like anything, but he is the same Krishna over there inside. That is what we worship. Hare Krishna. Is that clear? Can we move on? Any question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, what we are praying, like we are worshipping, is how to proceed then. We should call someone to do the Pratisthapana and then worship here in the
Correct.
house.
Correct. Exactly. Sometimes what happens, Mataji, we are given deities by the devotees themselves. So these devotees may have done the installation ceremony before. So then you don't need to do it again. But sometimes when you get a statue constructed or sculpted by somebody, or you buy it from a shop, then you need to do this.
Hmm.
Many times
In,
we sorry.
in ISKCON shop also, if we have bought from
The
ISKCON only.
Yes.
to
Yes. So in
Hmm.
ISKCON shop also they give you
the
the form of the deity. They do not give you the installed deity.
Okay.
If they have done the installation before, then perfectly fine. You can actually check with them and then buy accordingly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One small question.
Yeah.
So when it comes to photographs, Prabhuji,
Huh.
the same thing applies there also?
No, photographs are different. Photographs are different. That detailed information you will get in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, when Krishna talks about this to Uddhav, which is called as Uddhav Gita.
Okay.
So for photographs, no, you are actually praying to the actual deity itself. And you do not do the same kind of deity worship which you do
sorry, I lost connection. Would you be able to repeat that?
Sorry, what was the last statement you heard?
After my question, I lost complete.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question? I forgot about it.
No, it was about the photograph. So we generally tend to have photographs instead of idols at home or
Huh,
in the altar, right?
huh.
And we generally do prayers to them. So how is that
Photographs
considered
are
in
fine.
comparison to an
Photographs are fine because there are certain things which you perform for deities, but you don't perform for photographs. For example, Abhishek and all that you don't perform for photographs. So putting,
Yeah.
showing a lamp or giving a flower, okay, or even offering bhoga, that is accepted to a photograph. So it is fine. You do not need to do installation ceremony over there. But if you ask from an ideal basis, it is always better, whether it is a photograph or a murti, better to invite the Brahmanas, better to invite devotees, have good Hari Kirtan over there, distribute prasadam to all people, and that way the Lord is pleased and he happily comes and stays with you. So this is the right process to follow. But technically, if you see, there are certain things which you do for deities, not for photographs. So it is fine to have a photograph directly and start.
Would it be possible one on
Uday, your voice is
what
getting
is the
broken. Can't
things
hear
that
you.
you have to do on a daily basis? Sometimes you cannot for that.
Sorry, Uday
Yeah.
Prabhu, can you repeat your question? Can't hear you clearly. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Sachin.
Yeah.
So what I was asking is, would it be possible to have one session dedicated to the Vidhi Vidhan of a daily prayer that we should do, so
Okay.
that it will be really helpful?
Okay. Sure. Let's do that. We will schedule one. Sure. So you would basically like
Because
to
if
know.
all interest, it can be skipped.
Yeah. So Uday Prabhu, this particular topic, in itself requires months and months of courses to be done. Okay, so it will not be so simple for us to speak in just one course, but we can touch the theoretical principles behind this, that we can definitely do. Hmm. But ideally, it would be good to meet in person, study the various aspects of deity worship, how to do abhishek, how to dress up the deity, do the garlanding, what mantras to chant, when, how to create the paraphernalia. All of this is like a topic in itself. But we will touch upon the theoretical principles surely.
Or if you can guide us to certain scriptures or some
Hmm.
for reading, and then maybe have a session where we can clarify. This is
Okay,
only for my interest. If everybody is interested, then we
sure,
can skip
definitely,
this. So,
definitely, sure. Hare Krishna. So let's move on. किधर गया हम? We have taken almost 1 hour for and just completed 2 verses. So let me try and go a little bit fast unless there is something which requires detailed explanation. Gam paryatan medya vivikta vrittihi सदाप्लुतो अध शयनो अवधूतः अलक्षितः स्वैरवधूतवेषो व्रतानि चेरे हरितोषणानि. Translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation: while so traversing the earth, he simply performed duties to please the Supreme Lord Hari. His occupation was pure and independent. He was constantly uh, sanctified, sanctified by taking his bath in holy places. Although he was in the dress of mendicant and had no air dressing nor a bed on which to lie, thus he was always unseen by his various relatives. Purport: the first and foremost duty of pilgrim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. While traveling as a pilgrim, one should not be worried about pleasing society. There is no need to depend on social formalities or occupation or dress. One should remain always absorbed in the function of pleasing the Lord. Thus, sanctified by thought and action, one is able to realize the Supreme Lord by the process of a pilgrim's journey. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada, thank you. So now many times we travel to places like Vrindavan, right? I'm not sure how many of you have been there, but if you haven't, I humbly request you and please take out your time. Okay, as much as early as possible, go and visit Vrindavan. Yeah, and we develop a fascination for country visiting countries like the European countries and materially affluent countries, and there are probably good things to see as well, scenery and all of that. Yeah, we get attracted to such countries, but unfortunately, because our inclination to the Lord is less, our inclination to the places of pilgrimage is also very less. So if you ask somebody अरे किधर गया था छुट्टी के लिए, तो आई अरे आई हैड बीन टू यूरोप, आई वेंट टू ऑस्ट्रिया द मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल कंट्री, आई वेंट टू स्विट्जरलैंड, आई वेंट टू फ्रांस पेरिस इटाली, यही आता है उनके मुंह से। बट इफ यू आस्क देम डिड हैव यू विजिटेड वृंदावन, हाँ वृंदावन में क्या है उधर, व्हाट टू गो देयर एंड डू दैट, व्हाट टू डू देयर। वृंदावन, द्वारका, रामेश्वरम, अयोध्या, मायापुर, पंढरपुर, so many places are there. You know, one day, um, for the first time when Srila Prabhupada came back to India after he established ISKCON in US, okay, all his disciples were walking with him in Vrindavan. So one of the disciples said, Prabhupada, you said Vrindavan is so beautiful, Vrindavan is this, Vrindavan is that, but what we see here is Vrindavan is so dirty. There is this and there is this bad smell and these pigs fly going here and all of that. So Prabhupada told him that the problem is in your eyes. You are unable to see the beauty of Vrindavan. That's why your thought and your eyes are going only to the places where there is material dirt. But Vrindavan is a transcendental place. And this is precisely the point that the materialists miss, and they can only see material beauty, which is why they are attracted to places like Switzerland and others, where you do not or you hardly see a spiritual beauty over there. And this is what one should be looking at. So that's why I'm saying, if you have time, if you have money, if your body has the strength, make the best of all these material resources and visit the places like Vrindavan, Ayodhya, and so many things, so many places are there. And you even if you do not visit these other countries and other material places, you have nothing to lose. You are at the time of your death. In fact, this is only going to cause a problem to you. Imagine you remembering Eiffel Tower at the time of death. What will happen? As Krishna says in the 8th chapter, 6th verse, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. Whatever you remember at the time of death, you will get a body which relates to your remembrance, your memory of this life. So that what you remember at the time of death is accordingly you will get a new body in the next life. So if you are remembering the food that you ate, the rivers that you saw, and the places of material attractions and tourist attractions that you visited throughout your life, if you remember them at the time of death, you are only going to get similar material bodies. Whereas if you remember Vrindavan at the time of death, your life will be successful. So not visiting Vrindavan is one, but visiting these material places is another problem, because it makes you forget Vrindavan and Krishna. So it's a dual problem actually. So Prabhupada tells that the objective of visiting a place, a pilgrimage, is to remember the Lord, remember Lord Hari. So when one is traveling as a pilgrim, the dress should be suitable to that place of pilgrimage. Our Guru Maharaj always, tells us, and we ensure that we do not wear any footwear when we land in Vrindavan. The moment we land in Vrindavan and go to a hotel, we keep our footwear there, and as much possible, we walk barefooted to all the different places. And then we try and wear these only when we start our journey back home. And this is what our Guru Maharaj also recommends. So to walk barefooted, to wear a dhoti and to walk on Vrindavan, many times people feel ashamed. Are dhoti kaise pehnu main karke? But that is our dress. We should not be ashamed about it. When you focus on pleasing the society, there is a good chance that you may ignore pleasing the Lord. But if you focus on pleasing the Lord, you do not need to please the society at all. Hare Krishna. So, verse number 20, we'll look at. Itham vrajan bharatameva varsham कालेन याद यावद् गतवान् प्रभासं तावच्छ श्वास नहीं तावच्छासस क्षितिम एक चक्रम एकात पत्रां अजि अजितेन पार्थः. Translation.
Hare Krishna. The translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thus, when he was in land of Bharatvarsha, traveling to all the places of pilgrimage, he visited Prabhat Kshetra. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthir was the emperor and held the world under one military strength and one flag. More than 5,000 years ago, while Saint Vidura was traveling to earth as pilgrim, India was known as Bharatvarsha, as it known even today. The history of the world cannot give any systematic account for more than 3,000 years into the past. But before that, the whole world was under the flag and military strength of Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was the emperor of the world. At present, there are hundreds of thousands of flags flapping in the United Nations. But during the time of Vidura, there was, by the grace of Ajita, the Lord Krishna, only one flag. The nations of the world are very eager to again have one state under one flag. But for this, they must seek the favor of Lord Krishna, who alone can help us becoming one worldwide nation. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shila Prabhupada. So the fantastic way he writes. Amazing. So the point here, what he highlights is Ajita means one who can never be conquered. Okay. So if he cannot be conquered, then his mercy can help you conquer anything. So because because Yudhishthir was the perfect recipient of the Lord's mercy, the Lord installed him as the emperor of the whole world. That is the land of Bharatvarsha. And because of that, there was only one single flag, one military strength. Okay. So that's why he is saying that although you have United Nations today, we still have individual flags. Hundreds of flags are there. Now, if you really want to become a one worldwide nation, you have to have the grace of the Lord Ajita, Lord Krishna. Beautiful. तत्राथ शुश्रावसुहृद्विनष्टिं वनं यथा वेणुजवहनि संश्रयं संस्पर्धया दग्धम अथानुशोचन सरस्वतीं प्रत्यगियाय तुष्णिम. Translation.
At the place of pilgrimage at Prabhas, he came to his knowledge that all his relatives had died due to violent passion, just as an entire forest burns due to the fire produced by the friction of bamboos. After this, he proceeded west, where the river Saraswati flows. Both the Kauravas and the Yadavas were relatives of Vidur, and Vidur heard of their extinction due to the fratricidal war. The comparison of the friction of forest bamboos so that of passionate human societies is appropriate. The whole world is compared to a forest. At any moment, there may be a flare up of fire in the forest due to friction. No one goes to the forest to set it on fire, but due only to friction become between bamboos, fire takes place and burns an entire forest. Similarly, in the greatest forest of worldly transition, the fire of war takes place because of the violent passion of the conditioned souls, illusioned by an external energy. Such a worldly fire can be extinguished only by the water of the mercy by the water of the mercy clouds of saints, just as the forest fire can be extinguished only by the rains falling from a cloud.
Okay. Now, one thing we can understand here is that when Duryodhan insulted Vidur and he was asked to go away. From that point onwards till this point, quite a few events had happened. So the first thing was the preparations for the war happened. Everybody moved to Kurukshetra. The war actually happened there. Then after that, the people came back to Hastinapur. Then Lord, what do you say? Lord Krishna installed Yudhishthir as the emperor also. He stayed with Yudhishthir for a good amount of time. Then the Uddhav Gita, no, sorry. No. After that, Yudhishthir met Bhishma. That means Uttarayan had started at that time. Okay, Yudhishthir met Bhishma. Bhishma gave him a lot of advice. Vishnu Sahasranam was spoken at that time also. Bhishma left his body. They all came back, and then Lord departed for Dwarka. And then the big fight between all the Yadavas happened at that time. The Mausala Lila, you might have heard of it. That happened. All the Yadavas killed each other. Okay, and then okay, the Lord in between had spoken Uddhav Gita, and the Lord had also departed. Okay, um, yes, correct, the Lord had departed. Then this thing happened, the Mausala Lila happened. Uddhav Gita was also spoken by that time, and all of this had happened, and he had come to Prabhash. And at that point of time, within now 2 3 verses, we will know that Vidur met Uddhava at this point of time. And during the conversation between Vidur and Uddhav, okay, Vidur was asking, inquiring about everybody, and at the very end, the last verse, he asked about Lord Krishna. And Uddhav could not control his tears. And Uddhav said that the sun has set now. The, the great Lord has departed. That is what Uddhav said. Okay, so this is the time that all the events have happened. Until this time, Vidur was just going around places of pilgrimage and taking the darshan of Lord Hari, Lord Krishna. Okay. Now, this point was mentioned about the bamboos and all that. So, one important point is many a times when the forest fire happens, Prabhupada nicely writes it here, no one goes to the forest to set it on fire. It is the friction between the bamboos of the trees that the fire gets generated. Now, such a fire is capable of burning an entire forest. Now, here also in our case, the same thing happened. The egos of human beings, they clash with each other, which and the resultant fire is capable of burning away the entire society. Okay. And this kind of passion within our body also creates a fire which burns us inside. So there are quite a few things that materially we want to achieve, we cannot achieve, and then we burn in that fire of meaning that fire which keeps us always discontent, not happy with whatever we have. That fire burns away us completely, our karma also into the good karma also. And the only way it can be saved is the water coming in the form of mercy from the saintly people. Hare Krishna. Verse number 22. Tasyam tritasyoshanaso manoscha pruthor athagner asitasya vayoh tirtham sudasasya gavam guhasya yachraddadevasya ashisheve asisheve. Translation.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay,
Go
Prabhuji,
ahead,
go on.
Prabhuji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. On the bank of this river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely Tirtha, Ushana, Manu, Prithu, Agni, Asita, Vayu, Sudasa, Go, Guha, and Shraddha Deva. Vidura
Shraddha.
visited Shraddha Deva. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll move to the next verse. These are only names of places. Anyani cheha dvija deva devaihi krutani nanayatnani vishnoh pratyanga mukhyantika mandirani yaddarshanat krishnam anusmaranti.
Hare Krishna. Right?
Hare Krishna.
Translation and purport by Sri Prabhupada. Jai Shri.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, established by great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Purport. Human society is divided into four social orders of life and four spiritual divisions, applying to each and every individual person. This system is called Varnashram Dharma and has already been discussed in many places in this great literature. The sages or persons who completely devoted themselves to the spiritual upliftment of the entire human society were known as Dvijadeva, the best amongst the twice born. The denizens of superior planets from the moon planet and upwards were known as Devas. Both the Dvija Devas and the Devas always established temples of Lord Vishnu in his various forms, such as Govinda, Madhusudana, Narsimha, Madhava, Keshava, Narayana, Padmanabha, Partha Sarthi, and many others. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, but all of them are non different from one another. Lord Vishnu has four hands, and each hand holds a particular item, either a conch shell, wheel, club, or lotus flower. Of these four emblems, the chakra or wheel is the chief. Lord Krishna, being the original Vishnu form, has only one emblem, namely the wheel, and therefore he is sometimes called the Chakri. The Lord's chakra is the symbol of the power by which the Lord controls the whole manifestation. The tops of Vishnu temples are marked with the symbol of the wheel so that people may have the chance to see the symbol from a very long distance and at once remember Lord Krishna. The purpose of building very high temples is to give people a chance to see them from a distant place. This system is carried on in India whenever a new temple is constructed, and it appears that it is coming down from a time before recorded history. The foolish propaganda by atheists that temples were constructed only in later days is refuted here because Vidura visited these temples at least 5,000 years ago, and the temples of Vishnu were in existence long, long before Vidura visited them. The great sages and demigods never established statues of men or demigods, but they established temples of Vishnu or for the benefit of common men to raise them to the platform of God consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Every time you read Prabhupada's purport, it is a kind of a festival for the brain. Look at the perspectives in which he writes and analyzes the complete verse and the compares with the current situation and tells us what is right, what is wrong. So now look at this one. The great sages and demigods never established statues of men and demigods. But today, what is happening? We have temples built of actors and actresses also, especially in South India. Now look at what level of foolishness is there among people. Some one day, like few days back, I heard some political person's photo was taken, and people did abhishek of milk on that political person's photo. Now this is height of foolishness. At one end, thousands of years back, people used to worship Lord Vishnu by constructing nice temples for him. At this end, let alone worshipping Lord Vishnu, that the people have forgotten. But people have gone down to worship people of demoniac mentality who have no spiritual piety or inclination. Now you can compare Vidur with such people. Vidur, gives up his kingdom. Vidur gave up his palace. Vidur gave up everything. And his description was done in one of the previous verses, right? The hair was not at all bridled properly. He was wearing just one single cloth. Even his relatives were not able to recognize him. In such a state, he is walking thousands of kilometers. Why? Because he wants to take darshan of the Lord in various temples. And now we have people who have forgotten Lord Vishnu, Krishna, and the great forms of the Lord. People have come down to the level of worshipping demoniac kind of people. Okay. Everything, meaning whatever is there in our Shastra, whatever our ancestors did, had a purpose behind it. Yeah, they had the purpose of ensuring that the life beyond this current body is benefited from our actions today. Yeah, they knew the purpose of life, because of which even the height of temples was done based on some benefit that can be given to the society. So if it's not possible for you to walk up to the temple, you can just see the top of the temple, do namaskar, and still you will get the same benefit. That was the motive behind it. So that's why tall temples were being constructed. Today, we construct tall skyscrapers. The temples may not get constructed at all. So this is the quality of difference that is there today and what it was previously. Now, meaning basically, we should understand that anything that gets constructed out of a human brain has a drawback. Anything that is followed or done based on the instruction of the Shastra is correct. That should be the thumb rule based on which we should analyze things. Hare Krishna. Now let's look at this last verse for today. ततस्त्वा अतिव्रज सुराष्ट्रमृद्धम सौरव सौवीर मत्स्यान् कुरु जांगलांश्च कालेन तावद् यमुनामुपेत्य तत्रोद्भवं भागवतं ददर्श. Bhagavatam here refers to Uddhav. Translation? Anybody?
Hare Krishna.
Hare-
Translation. Go ahead, Mataji.
Sorry. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvir, and Matsya, and through western India, known as Kurujangala. At last, he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhav, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to the Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in Punjab, East India, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. This land is sacred because Lord Krishna traveled through in many times. From the very beginning of his appearance, he was at Mathura in the house of his maternal uncle Kamsa, and he was reared by his foster father Maharaj Nanda or at Vrindavan. There are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land, but the devotees eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5.38. Prabhuji, will you read the shloka?
Yes. Preman. You want to read, Mataji?
No, Prabhuji, you read, please.
Okay. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santah tadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya guna swarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Those who are in ecstasy of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shyamasundar, Krishna, see him always in their hearts due to love and devotional service rendered to the Lord. Both Vidura and Uddhav were such elevated devotees, and therefore they both came to the bank of the Yamuna and met each other. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Now, if you remember at the end of first canto, when Parikshit Maharaj was searching for the answer, what to do, what should one do when he has only 7 days left in his life? That question he had asked for from various people, and nobody was able to give him a satisfactory answer. And that is when he saw Shukadev Goswami coming in. And he bowed down to him and he asked this question, and then they sat for a discussion, and that is when Bhagavatam was spoken. So we have to understand that this is the arrangement of the Lord, that certain devotees come together at the same time. When Bhishmadev was going to speak the great knowledge which he gave to Yudhishthir, lots and lots of devotees came there, including demigods. Okay. So even Vyasdev came from there, meaning although he is the compiler of so many literatures, he still came there to take knowledge from Bhishmadev. Okay, so the point is that it is not that everybody had WhatsApp over there and they were told, okay, to gather at this place, and Google Map location was sent and everybody came over there, right? The Paramatma situated in the heart of every such living entity, inspired them and instructed them to reach to the Bhishma Pitamaha at that point of time, because of which they were able to get the knowledge of that. And it is the similar arrangement that the Lord does here, that Vidur has reached to the Yamuna river, the banks of Yamuna, and Uddhav also comes there at the same time. Okay, that is because the Lord has arranged all of this. Otherwise, you can see that Vidur is walking for the last 4-5 months from Hastinapur down to the western India and then going upwards to UP and all of that. Yeah. So now, how is it possible, even coincidentally, that Uddhav comes at the very same time where Vidur is coming to the banks of Yamuna? Okay. So the point is that the Lord wants this interaction to happen because there are many more events that need to be unfolded after the discussion. So now Vidur will ask certain questions to Uddhav, and Uddhav will speak on some of them. Uddhav does not speak on some of them, and Uddhav guides him to Maitreya Muni. And then Maitreya Rishi welcomes Vidur. Vidur asks him a question. Maitreya Rishi gives him detailed knowledge, and after being satisfied, then he leaves from there and comes back to Hastinapur. And why Maitreya Rishi? That is because Maitreya Rishi had met Uddhava before that. So Uddhav says that I have given all this knowledge to Maitreya Rishi just a little while back. So you go to Maitreya Rishi, ask the same questions, he will give the same knowledge to you, and that will satisfy you. Now, the manner in which Vidur and Uddhav they meet each other, that is also something to learn from. So Uddhav is of the age of Krishna, okay, who is of the age of Arjun, correct? Now Vidur is the grandfather of them, grandfather na, or fatherly figure. Dhritarashtra,
Uncle.
fatherly person. But and so meaning there is one generation gap, but still Vidur bows down to Uddhav and he takes his blessings. Why? Because of this word Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. He is a Mahabhagavat. He is a great devotee of the Lord. Vidur understands that. And in such a scenario, it doesn't matter what is the age of the physical body. What matters is the devotion that you have towards the Lord, based on which a person bows down to another person. Hare Krishna. So, with this, we can end it here today. With now, the dialogue between Vidur and Uddhav will start from next week onwards, from verse number 25. Fantastic dialogue. And what is great to listen to and to see is the devotion that Uddhav had for Lord Krishna. It's amazing, just amazing. Hare Krishna. So we'll end it here. Anybody has any question, or we can close the session for today?
Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna,
Maitreya
Prabhuji.
Rishi also met Lord Krishna, no?
Who?
Before meeting Vidur.
Whom are you talking about?
Maitreya Rishi.
Maitreya Rishi met Krishna. Yes, I think. Yes. Maitreya Rishi, I'm just not remembering the sequence whether Maitreya Rishi met Krishna first or Uddhav first.
No, I think before Krishna, matlab, Lord depart from the world,
Yeah.
he
Correct,
met
correct.
Maitreya Rishi,
Huh.
and
Krishna guided Maitreya Rishi to Uddhava. Correct.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. And then that is when, yeah, correct. So Maitreya Rishi went to Krishna to get his darshan and get knowledge from him. But then by that time, Krishna had already spoken Uddhav Gita to Uddhav.
yeah.
And that is why Krishna tells that you go to Uddhav and get this knowledge from him. That's right. It's there in Bhagavatam. Okay. So Hare Krishna. See you next week.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.